Hello, how the tech are you? This is our weekly tech show on Echoplex Media. We talk about tech news, science news, any kind of news we feel like talking about in that general topic. I am historian Matt. I don't really have a specific topic under besides tech and science news, but today I'm going to be going back and hitting the I don't know, the big ones, the back to AI and making fun of Twitter/X now. So my first topic is Microsoft defends against AI lawsuits, and the second topic will be is X is unfit to be a bank. X, formerly known as Twitter. And we got the guy in the pink hat.
Hello, how the tech are you? I am HK Perrin, and I'm a software engineer, so I cover mostly software engineering news. And this week I have some kind of tangentially software engineering related newses, because my first story is about my own program, QuickDAV. I released a new version and it's now open source, so you can go and download the source code. And then my second story is about another new release of an app that I just started using called Joplin. And I'll tell you all about that. Now over to the man in the gray hat.
The tinfoil hat, sir. I am Dave. I'm the producer of all the shows here on Echoplex Media, and you can find me on Grindr. I have two stories. One is that it turns out that a fake AI Drake song and other songs by that person are not eligible for Grammys. And then the Mozilla Foundation put out a pretty scathing review about newer cars and how they treat your data. So take it away, Matt.
All right, my first topic, Microsoft defends against AI lawsuits. What am I talking about? Well, Microsoft has pledged to provide legal protection for customers who get sued for copyright infringement over content generated from the company's AI system. So any kind of AI system like ChatGPT, I don't think it covers directly ChatGPT, but stuff like that Microsoft uses. They're calling it the Copilot copyright commitment. I don't know why they have a name for it, but yeah, that's what it's called. And so doing any AI stuff, you can, if it's Microsoft, if it's AI generated from one of Microsoft's systems, they pledge to defend it because that's a issue. What do you guys think? I know that was a real quick hit there, but
so I think it's called the Copilot copyright commitment because GitHub's code generating AI is called Copilot, and that's, GitHub is Microsoft. So I think maybe they're specifically talking about generated code. If their AI generates code,
I don't think they're specifically talking about code, but it was mentioned in the article that about GitHub, which GitHub is now owned by Microsoft, right? But that was specifically, there was an issue where somebody threatened to sue Microsoft or somebody using Microsoft's or the GitHub Copilot to, write code because it's basically using, it's being trained on copyrighted code. So,
yeah. I was trained on copyrighted code, though.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think there's
so therefore Microsoft should defend me when I violate someone else's copyright.
There's an issue with generated AI generated stuff. It's not just code, but also happens in the AI art where if you write something specific, like basically describe very specifically something that the AI was trained on, it will basically just return that thing that it was trained on in certain cases. I know with AI art, I've seen a few examples of somebody writing a specific prompt, showing the image, and then they show the image that was put in as a training image, and they're almost identical,
Okay. Yeah, I read an article about that, and it mentioned that that happens when there's duplicates of an image in the training set. Really? And it's far less likely or maybe even impossible to happen if there's no duplicates in the training set. But I don't know if that's true. That's just what I read.
I didn't read that, but I didn't get into that much detail.
I can't imagine that they're going to do this, that they're actually going to defend like people who gets like, how does this work? Like, do you petition them? And then like, because sometimes the court case moves pretty quickly, right? And it's not like the court is going to wait for you to wait for Microsoft to get back to you.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think they're saying it because they're making so many gobs of cash on these AI things that like if they had to spend even like $100,000 or even $1 million defending someone to actually, you know, live up to their promise, it still doesn't matter. They're making so much money from AI right now.
Okay, fair enough. We'll see how this shakes out, because we'll see how this shakes out, because a lot of times, like, I think they may be kind of counting on the fact that most of the smaller creators that make up the training set don't have the wherewithal to sue somebody anyway.
Yeah. They don't have the resources to bring a lawsuit.
Now, the worst thing they could do is give you an AI lawyer.
Oh, that'd be great. That was one of my favorite stories so far, was the AI lawyer. Matt, what you got next?
My next one is next topic is X unfit to be a bank. What's going on? Well, after Twitter's takeover by Elon Musk, Twitter was rebranded as X, as if we all know, and he started a process to make X a bank, basically. And so far, like 8 states have approved applications for money transmitting. Basically what a bank does, transmitting money. And this is, you know, all part of Elon Musk's attempt to make X an everything app. Of course, he only seems to be successful in destroying what was formerly known as Twitter. Anyways, apparently, so this happened before Elon Musk took over, but former employees of Twitter unmasked an anonymous user, or unmasked multiple anonymous users, to the Saudi government. And in one case, Abdullah Rahman Al Sadan, I totally butchered that name, but he was a human rights activist and was in Saudi Arabia. The employees unmasked him, gave his name to Saudi Arabian government, and they basically kidnapped, tortured him, and imprisoned him in 2021, which is not great. And there's a couple other instances of that happening. At least one instance, the Saudi government did not actually arrest the guy, but they're concerned about a different guy getting arrested with the same thing happening. So people are really concerned about basically the Saudi government's influence over X, now X. So even though this happened before Elon Musk took over, we know that since the changeover, since Elon took over, Saudi investors are now like the second largest stakeholders in X, and probably have a lot of influence, and probably can get information on people they don't like. What do you guys think?
I think the last thing in the world I want to do is a bank with Elon Musk's company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they mean bank, they mean like a finance, like what is it, the fintech type stuff? It's basically something like or similar to PayPal, or I don't know, Cash App, or the other ones where you're just transmitting money. You're not actually like putting it in a bank to earn interest and get loans and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't even want them having my routing number and account number.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that either.
Yep. Also, I think this is like, on the reasons that X should not be a bank, this is probably like 3rd or 4th.
Right, but this is like the only like sort of technical, like, you know what I mean, like regulatory reason. The other reasons are all like ethical and
Yeah, I think I didn't mention it here, but I think it's in the article that there's actually different groups actually suing the government or making I don't know what kind of comments to the government, saying, hey, he should not get a bank license. Like this, all this weird stuff's happening. Do not like give him licenses. You need to do some further investigation to make sure that that X is not compromised.
I mean, maybe it is, and then like all the blue checks will have their money stolen.
And buy all the non-blue checks.
I mean, even more than
just the $8.
Already, that $8 charge is practically theft.
Well, like the reason I think that and I don't think this is just like a reason that like regular people would think is a moral or ethical reason. I think his history of just ignoring regulation and ignoring regulators and like doing things that are, borderline illegal, and like his unwillingness to staff up for important functions at his companies is a reason that he shouldn't be responsible for anybody's money, right? Like you can't just fire a department all willy-nilly at a fintech company, right? It's a little bit different. You're kind of fucking with everybody's, you're messing with people's money at that point. So I think that banks tend to follow a regulation as well as they possibly can, even if they're, even if we don't like banks or whatever. They are following, like if your bank has been around for more than a couple of years, it's because they follow the rules.
Yeah.
And that's what Elon Musk is going to not do.
It's because they pay their rent.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Banks are highly regulated. And if they step out of line, the government comes in and shuts them down real fast.
Even something like PayPal that isn't technically a bank is highly regulated.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, watching him melt down over some of these financial regulations that he never considered would be fun. Like watching him call like the head of the Securities and Exchange Commission a pedophile or something would be very fun. But
that's not going to help.
But I don't think that, I don't think that's great for anybody who might have their money in there or whatever. Yeah, it's a bad idea. When I found out he was going to buy Twitter had my credit card number because I had once run an ad on Twitter. As soon as I found out he was thinking of buying it, I removed my credit card number from Twitter.
He probably still has it.
Yeah, he probably personally has it.
Yep. He's probably tried to charge it several times.
Yeah, he just couldn't because he doesn't know my PIN. He tried to attach my card to his Apple Pay or whatever. Like, what do you mean I just had a charge rejected for a flight on a private jet?
$44 billion. Who would charge such a specific number?
Why did someone try to buy a horse with my credit card? Oh man. All right. What you got this week, HK?
All right. I have a fun story because I actually wrote this app. I have talked about it on the show before, but I wrote an app called QuickDAV. It is a network file transfer app that lets you move and manage your files between your devices in an ad hoc, easy, and fast way. So basically, you run it on your computer, and then you can connect to your computer from either another computer or a phone, and you can manage files, download files, upload files to your computer. It's much faster than emailing yourself a file. And I actually used QuickDAV to release the latest version of QuickDAV because I built it on my Mac and I had to move it over to my Linux PC to upload it. So, yeah. It uses my own WebDAV server, which is called Nephily under the hood. That is also open source. They're both open source. You can download the code for both of them. And QuickDAV 3 uses a new version of Nephily that has some very good bug fixes. One of the bugs was you'd try to rename a folder and it wouldn't rename the folder. It would just create a new folder with the name you were trying to rename it to. That's fixed. So, yeah. And big news, QuickDAV is now open source. It's released under the Apache 2.0 license, so you can download the source code, you can inspect it, you can build it yourself. You can release your own version of QuickDAV. You can make changes to it, and if you'd like, you can provide those changes back to me, and I could put them in the official version. So you can use it for free right now on Windows, Mac, and Linux at the link which I guess will be in the description, sciactiv.com/QuickDAV. And speaking of WebDAV, well, actually, hold on. I'll wait till the next story to speak more of WebDAV. What do you guys have to say?
I have it installed, and I still use Samba like a maniac.
How come you don't use QuickDAV?
Because I use Samba like a maniac.
I guess if you have Samba already set up, then that serves your purpose.
Yeah, and I just use it like it's because that's what the bookmarks on my file manager are too. So that when I back things up to my NAS box, that's what the bookmarks are too. So that's pretty much why. And that's like what Cody is already connected to for my procured content. Burn notice.
I have Jellyfin on my server, and it runs from a Nephili share. So I do the same thing. I take legally purchased media and I upload it to my Jellyfin server with not QuickDAV, Nephili, which is the server underneath QuickDAV, but Nephili has another thing called Nephili Serve that's for like specifically dedicated server applications.
It's actually illegal to purchase burn notice. So I had to procure it some other way.
It's illegal to purchase it?
I'm just kidding.
Okay. You got me there.
No, that's cool, and I'm glad it's open source. It might be neat to see what other people do with it. Hopefully, they do send you back the changes, even if you don't maybe use their changes. It'd still be interesting to see what people do with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I personally use it on my Steam Deck too. QuickDAV runs on a Steam Deck because it has a build for Linux. It's just an app image. You can drop it on a Steam Deck and run it. And I use it to upload my legally obtained video game ROMs for emulation.
Very good. As long as you're legally obtaining everything. Otherwise, we would have to get a new co-host. Because
we only condone legal obtainment of all media.
They would put you in ROM jail.
Yeah. Didn't you try to get it uploaded to like Steam itself so you could download it directly from Steam or something, and they didn't like
I
that?
did try to do that, and Steam was like, it's not a game, so we're not interested.
Oh.
And I'm still wondering, like, okay, the Steam Deck is a portable gaming device, but is that all they ever want it to be? Like, I would like to watch YouTube videos on my Steam Deck sometimes. You know, I have like a phone.
On the YouTube game.
What's that?
You can watch it on the YouTube game.
Yeah.
You can download.
I feel like they're missing out on like releasing apps for the Steam Deck that run like that are distributed by Steam. I honestly don't understand why they haven't yet done that. And I do know that like they're falling back on Flatpak apps because you can go into desktop mode and install a Flatpak app and then add it to your Steam library. But that's such a pain in the ass that no one's going to do that. Like no one but like me.
Maybe, maybe as more and more
me
people...
and Gardner Bryant, we're the only ones that do that.
Maybe as more and more people get it, they might start asking the same question like, well, what if I want to watch a YouTube video on here? And maybe in a year or something like that, you'll be able to hit them up again because they'll have maybe a section for utilities, like for the Steam Deck or whatever.
Well, at this point, unless they would let me put it on there for free, I'm not really interested in putting it on anymore because, like, I'm not trying to make money on it. It's free. And it turns out when you release something for Windows, if you don't want it to have that little notice that says, like, hey, we protected your computer by not letting you run this thing you want to run. If you want to get rid of that, it costs minimum $130. And then it's not guaranteed to not get rid of it. It'll only get rid of that message once enough people install it. If you want to get rid of it for sure, it costs like $400 for an EV code signing certificate. Wow. So after looking that up, I was like, fuck that.
You're like people can just run this. They can just click I am not afraid of this application.
Yeah, if that really does scare you, then don't use QuickDAV. That's all I can say. I'm not paying $400 to remove that message. Oh, that's a year too. $400 per year.
Well,
yeah, that's
so I got it though. For if you want it on Steam, instead of QuickDAV, you make it QuakeDAV, and has a Quake interface where you go and like shoot the files that you want to download.
Just gamify it for no reason. So
gamify
it gets on Steam.
But I bet that there's an off chance that it would become very popular too if you did that for some you know what I'm saying? Like people would say, okay, this is really neat actually. I can like shoot a file to another computer. Like I think that would be very cool actually. You made like a first person shooter version of it. I think people would enjoy that. I know I'd be more inclined to use it.
I think they would. I might consider that one day for a fun project.
You'd get a snarky article in The Verge about it for sure.
Yep.
All right, what do you got next?
All right, my next story is, so speaking of WebDAV, I wanted to talk about Joplin. What does Joplin have to do with WebDAV? Well, Joplin is an open source note-taking app that syncs your notes between all of your devices. And it can sync your notes using a WebDAV share. It can use all sorts of things. Like it has its own like built-in cloud service that has even more features, but it can sync over like Google Drive and Dropbox and WebDAV. So I did test it, and it works with QuickDAV and it works with Nephilim. You can sync your notes with both of those. I mean, I guess, QuickDAV is Nephilim. But anyway, their new version, Joplin 2.12, that just came out, includes an email to note feature where you can email your Joplin cloud address and that email becomes a note in your account. So look at that. The other thing that I'm obsessed with, email. Joplin is a really cool app. I've been using Google Keep for a long time, ever since Evernote became not good anymore. And I've been looking for alternatives for Google Keep, and I've finally found one. Joplin is really cool. What do you guys think?
I don't really use a note-taking app. Matt, do you use one?
Yeah, I just use the Keep app on my phone that comes for free for everybody. Not
well,
very
try
simple,
Joplin.
basic works.
Joplin is really
Joplin
cool.
As an open source alternative.
Joplin actually has a lot of features that Keep does not have.
But the thing is, I don't need more features.
Yeah, well,
simple note taking. That's all I need.
You never know.
And
if I
being able to make a list and check off the list.
If I have to remind myself of something, I just say, "Okay, G, remind me tomorrow at 2 to do this certain thing," and then it does that for me.
Well, I use my notes for like not really reminders, but more like if I have ideas, I'll jot them down. Ideas about like, if I'm thinking about the design of some piece of software, the architecture of it, sometimes I'll have an idea and I'll jot that down in a Google Keep note. And now, I can switch to Joplin, which is open source. Google Keep, by the way, not open source.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, there are definitely people who love note-taking apps, and I bet those are a lot of open source people that like the note-taking apps. I know one of the Linux shows that I listen to, they talk about note-taking apps all the time, and they keep changing note-taking apps. So maybe they'll also switch to Joplin because they obviously listen to this podcast.
One really cool feature that Joplin has is, and I've seen this on other note-taking apps, but generally not the free ones. So I was like really happy to see this. They have a feature where you can clip like part of a website, basically. You can say like make this part of the website into my notes, like add that to my notes.
Cool.
They call it the Clipper, the Joplin Clipper, I think. It's on their website.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, if you need a note-taking app, check out Joplin. Now I guess it's my turn. I have two stories. One It turns out that the fake AI Drake song, not eligible for a Grammy. Also, other AI songs probably not eligible for a Grammy. The person creating the music that most people have heard that has been created by AI goes by the pseudonym Ghostwriter. Last Tuesday, Ghostwriter put out a song with fake vocals by 21 Savage and Travis Scott. Even though the song itself was written by a human, no permission for the likeness was given. And I just put HK's face up on my story while I was reading my story.
Yep.
So
I'm sneaking into your stories now.
But I think that the Grammy people made the right decision here. What do you guys think?
Gosh, I think it's just such a shame that AI won't be recognized for all the hard work that it did.
I'd listen. Go ahead.
Sorry, is it, do they take into account any of like the copyright stuff that's going on around AI or in the legal stuff there where basically if it's AI generated, you don't get a copyright? Or is this totally separate?
The getting the rights to the likeness of the artist was one of the concerns that the person that they spoke to from the Grammy Association had brought up. But I don't think it was just that, I think it was also like maybe just like have human singers win Grammys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think even if they did have the likeness, the rights to, permission to use their likeness, I still don't think it should win a Grammy.
It'd be pretty cool if there was, if a couple years down the road, once all the copyright stuff gets kind of worked out, that maybe there'd be a category for best song with a, that incorporates, AI or like, I think that'd be pretty neat,
Best song by a robot.
Yeah.
So, slightly different topic, but same idea. That the Bruce Willis, like he can't act anymore. I don't remember exactly what the issues he's having right now, but he can't act, and he had his face scanned and everything, scanned and voice scanned and everything, so people can make, continue making movies with him with AI, generation. Assuming, of course, they have permission from him or his family. So, what about that? Would that like not be allowed for to win an Oscar or something like that? I mean, not that
Correct,
he really generally is in Oscar-winning performances, but
it's a different it's a different organization. But I can't imagine that they wouldn't have maybe a similar answer.
Yeah.
Under my theory of the right choices to make, I would say you can't win Best Actor if you didn't act in the movie.
But it wouldn't stop that from maybe getting Best Picture, even if he was the fake Bruce Willis was the lead or whatever. It would just the actor category would.
Probably. Yeah, I agree with you there.
But it would preclude it from getting the best soundtrack. Because you ever heard Bruce Willis sing? He's pretty good.
I have actually. I saw a recording of him singing. It was actually pretty good. Anyways, but they'd only be allowed to win Best Picture if it was not directed by AI or produced by AI. I don't know.
Yep.
Imagine the AI director telling you to do that, but with more feeling. You'd be like, "Shut up, AI director."
I need to really see your humanity.
All right. A really robotic voice.
All right. I got one more story here. Probably in news that's fairly unsurprising to most people. Your car, if you have a fairly new car, it is not really too, the car's not doing too great a job with your private information that it collects. The Mozilla Foundation did a report on automakers and privacy, and there was a set of 25 automakers, and all of them had pretty awful privacy policies. 84% of cars just share your data with third parties. No automaker met Mozilla's minimum privacy standard, and you might be shocked to find that Tesla was the worst. And they said that a lot of like hookup apps and even apps for sex toys have like much better privacy policies than your car. Either you surprised?
Nope.
I'm not surprised, and I have a Tesla, so I was very disappointed to hear that, but not surprised. And I heard I don't know if it was in this article. I think an article or video I saw on it mentioned that like they can even share your sex life if they have access to that information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
That's
why
like
would
the
your
whole-
car? Is it watching you while you're boinking?
So that was specifically in the Hyundai's, I think,
Yeah.
like Eula.
Jesus.
Hyundai is horny.
Yeah.
Why are they keeping that information?
I don't know.
I can't decide like how it would how it would know. Like, I mean,
Dave?
okay, people aren't really hooking up in their cars as much, I don't think, because cars are getting smaller. There's less bench seats. People are getting bigger. Hyundais are pretty
Dave?
small.
As a resident grinder expert, is there a grinder app for cars that like
No.
you just put it in and it does the GPS for you?
No, but I mean, maybe it's because your car does hook up via you can hook up via Android Auto. Maybe your Hyundai, maybe your
do it.
Hyundai's be spying on your grinder.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little surprised. Still thoroughly disappointed. I drive a truck from 2007 that's not smart at all, and I'm kind of happy about that.
Because it's not horny like a new Hyundai is.
It might be, but I would never know.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, it's because people don't really think about that when they go buy a car. So it's not surprising that these automakers would be tending to take advantage of the fact that people don't think about that. But people have moments in their car. Like some people, like unfortunately at work, have to go out to their car to cry. Like, do you want your car like selling that information to like, I don't know, Uber Eats? So Uber Eats is like, hey, you seem upset, but buy a piece of cake or whatever. Like,
Oh, jeez.
like
That's the world we're headed to.
or people argue with their spouse in their car. People have maybe uncomfortable conversations or just intimate conversations with their kids in the car, like on the way to school. And
Well, the issue that I see that's like a big issue is, your car has a GPS. It's going to track everywhere you go. It's going to
Yes.
know where you go. And from there, you can find out all sorts of stuff, like tell where you live. Well, that's probably going to be obvious, but it will within time be able to pretty accurately figure out where you go to work and, what restaurants you like to go to best. And, who knows what else.
But I mean, you've already got your phone in your pocket all the time. It's already doing that, but it's just but that doesn't mean that it's good for another device to be collecting the same information. Because now that's like a two-factor. It's like two-factor spying.
Yeah.
I think the point with their article, though, is that your phone has a better privacy policy than your car.
Yes.
And people don't really think about, like, your car might know as much about you as your phone does, and their privacy policy just lets them sell that to anyone.
Right. Yeah, you're like I mean, they used hookup apps, but it turns out that like hookup and dating apps have pretty good privacy policies compared to some other apps. Yeah. And the sex toy apps, I don't know why they chose those for the comparisons, because those are like, those things are intimate. They're associated with sex. So people might be more inclined to be concerned about the privacy of something like Grindr or Tinder or I don't know what the straights use.
The remote butt plug app.
Yeah.
Love Sense. I know what that thing is. But I bet those things, they certainly have much better privacy policies than your car or many other things, right? Because those are things where people might be interested in, well, what is this thing doing? What does this, who are they telling about my habits on Grindr? Who are they telling that I have the Love Sense app? People might be more concerned with that and then not think about it for their car. But so I thought it was weird that they chose those as comparisons, because I haven't looked, but I would bet that those apps probably have better privacy policies than like Facebook, because of the nature of the app and people's maybe paranoia around, maybe something like Grindr where someone's family or somebody's closeted for whatever reason. So they might be more interested in the privacy policy, or the Love Sense app because maybe you don't want everybody to know what you're buying.
Yeah, I would hope that they have very good privacy policies. But, that's probably why Mozilla chose those things.
I think they might have just chosen them for the shock factor. You know what I'm saying? For the article to
possibly.
Like pop. But
yeah, because they're saying no one even met their minimum privacy standard.
Right. That's horrible.
Yeah. Not even saying like, oh, no one went above and beyond it. No one met their minimum.
I think it's just because people don't think of their car as a connected device, even though a new car is. You might be able to buy a new car that isn't a connected device, but it's probably like like very inexpensive cars, right? And there's probably even fewer and fewer of those because on a very inexpensive car, they might be even more inclined to want to collect data about you because they're not making a whole lot of money on the initial sale of the car. So yeah, this not great. Also not surprising that Tesla was the worst, but it was very, very interesting again to find out that Hyundai is horny.
Well, I think this will last until, somebody's, some senator's Tesla tracks them going to visit their mistress or something.
And the auto industry is pretty heavily regulated. So I think maybe regulators are probably already looking into this. There's probably going to be some probably regulation coming down the pike on this. Even before the article came out, I bet that there was, I forget what some of the regulatory bodies might be, but they were probably looking into this and thinking about it. So it might just be one of those things where it's like with the auto industry is like, well, let's make hay while the sun shines. Yeah. But that's bad. Anyway, HK, you've been absent for a couple weeks. So guess what you get to do?
All right. So this has been our weekly tech show. How the tech are you? Thank you for joining us. And if you really like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Do all the YouTube things. And if you want to check out our other shows, you can check out echoplexmedia.com. And if you want to support us, you can do that on patreon.com/echoplex. And you can also support our store, eplex.store. Have a great tech and week.